Hello, my name is Gabriela Flores, and I'm the chair of EvalYouth Global Network. Today, I will talk to you about the importance of a more inclusive and intergenerational vocal leadership. According to the data of United Nations, youth constitutes around 15% of the current world population, and their overall population will peak globally in 2065, reaching 1.4 billion people. Governments, UN agencies, and non-governmental organizations around the globe have been making calls for a greater attention to youth issues, such as youth inclusion, participation, and empowerment. However, youth are still often rarely included in the decision-making process. Youth participation in programs and policies that affect their lives is still limited. When young people are included, they are only seen as beneficiaries of such programs, rather than right holders or decision makers. For example, until recently, almost all known and reputable evaluation capacity building and training programs, many of them actually targeting young and emerging evaluators, were delivered by senior evaluators with little to no input from the younger generation of evaluators. This scenario, as you are seeing and experiencing, has changed in the evaluation field during the past few years. Nowadays, it is hard to imagine a conference, a journal, webinars, or any evaluation event without the prominent participation of young and emerging evaluators. These, as we call it, are active members of BOPES, and some BOPES have been working towards inclusion of these as part of their board. Youth in Evaluation is calling for social justice, working on the most pressing issues for humanity, such as climate change, the global goals, etc. But they are also taking ownership of transformation. Youth have been focusing on interconnections and, most importantly, on system change. To this point, I have tried to make a point on the role of youth and young and emerging evaluators in evaluation. Now, I would like to talk to you about this term and this concept called youth transformative participatory approach and how it is related to intergenerational evaluation. I'd like to start by a quote from Sherry Arstein on her seminal article on democracy, citizenship, participation, and power. Arstein noted that participation without redistribution of power is an empty and frustrating process for the powerless. It allows the power holders to claim that all sides were considered, but makes it impossible for only some of those sides to benefit. It maintains the status quo. In evaluation, basically we're trying to change that by creating this intergenerational approach. The youth transformative participatory approach, when applied to evaluation context, sees the point of evaluation not simply interpreting the truth or reality, but rather to take an active role in co-producing knowledge and working toward empowerment and social justice. Within the evaluation context, the youth transformative participatory approach is defined as the process of involving, working with, and following the lead of young people, where their cultural context, lived experiences, and personal values guide action. Moreover, youth participation is integrated into the entirety into the evaluation function, meaning it not only occurs during the evaluation processes, but also shows up in the aspects that support the evaluation itself. In the Youth Transformative Participatory Approach, or YTP, work is equitably distributed among experienced evaluators and young evaluators. Both has power to make decisions, but this is also contextually situated and purposeful. The YTP approach has some other dimensions that include practicing knowledge as valid and useful as technical and scientific knowledge, deliberation through problem-posing methodology, and activism. Activism is a key component of the YTP approach, where youth advocate for shared values through actions deliberated and agreed upon between themselves. In this approach, youth are involved in all aspects of an evaluation, and so their participation is characterized as deep, authentic, and genuinely youth-led. We must take care to ensure that it's not just the youth who are the most advantaged who can participate. The YTP approach calls about inclusion, making sure that youth from all types of backgrounds have an opportunity to participate. This is viewed as fundamental for democratizing social change and to leave no one behind. This YTP approach calls for a collaboration between more experienced and young evaluators for an intergenerational approach to leave no one behind, to make sure that we develop this inclusive perspective. The end goal of the YTP approach, when applied in the evaluation field, is to engage young and emerging evaluators in all aspects of evaluation, to empower them and to become activists for social change, but not in isolation, but in collaboration with more experienced evaluators working in this intergenerational approach. In the Sustainable Development Goals era, and when less than 10 years to fully realize them, it is a time for evaluators, young and emerging evaluators, experienced evaluators, to take the lead in accelerating actions and promote the power of evaluation as a transformational tool. Young people should be at the forefront of the evaluation revolution and the global development agendas, but also work in collaboration with more experienced evaluators and applying these transformational evaluations to base decision-making processes and evidence. Historically, youth face structural and systemic challenges when involved in decision-making processes. However, the role of initiatives such as EvalYouth are fundamental to empower and build capacities of young and emerging evaluators. This bootcamp is another great example of empowering and building capacities for young and emerging evaluators, specifically to take leadership positions and leadership roles in BOPES. The YTP approach center values-led action and activism of young people through youth-led initiative and shared responsibility. But we don't do it in isolation, but with partnerships and with commitment of champions, of experienced evaluators, organizations, BOPES, and other entities who believe in this innovative and liberatory approach. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to present you the YTP approach, or Youth Transformative Participatory Approach, and its importance to leave no one behind, to work in a really intergenerational approach for evaluation. Thank you very much.